Ooh, child, a body expert analyzed Gypsy's live the other day. She just posted it about 23 hours ago. Y'all, first of all, I want you guys to subscribe to her. She also has an analyst of Bree's live too, so y'all need to go look at that. But anyway, let's watch this video. Okay, a lot of what she said in here was things that I had already felt. Well, not a lot of it. I would say probably about 35% of what she said, because I am not a therapist, a psychiatrist, a analyst for body language, or, well, I could analyze body language, but only like a basic, you know, based on the fact that I've been a boss before. I've hired and fired people, so you kind of like realize certain body language and like things, but like not to her level at all. You could clearly tell she has studied this, and she's really good at what she does. And I like the detail that she gives. I also like the fact that she will tell you what she is doing and why it's a red flag. And I think that could also help people in their real lives, dealing with other people, to kind of know what the indications are. So I actually think she's amazing. I would subscribe to her if I were you all. But let's watch this, and I'm gonna give you my feedback, like my true feedback, at the end.
Pop up on the screen. You will also see a logo of Conspiracy. I'm sure most of you are aware of who that is, but if you are not, there will be a link to her channel and this video in the description box below. Let's get into it.
We're like, okay, since we couldn't really spend time together on Valentine's Day itself, we'll make up for it on Sunday night, because Sunday was the next day off. So we had just an evening at home plan.
Right off the bat, I want to note that Gypsy's eyes are wide open. She's alert. She's facing the camera, and her blink rate starts off normal. Then as she talks about her Valentine's Day with Ken, her current partner, her blink rate starts to increase. Her eyes shift that direction, and she seems a lot less confident about telling people about Valentine's Day. Now, Gypsy is a pathological liar, and I don't say that to be mean. It's just how she is, and she has admitted this before. These kinds of people typically will be deceptive and lie about all kinds of things. For her to potentially lie about the next day being Sunday isn't necessarily out of character for her. Not a huge deal, just something to note here. Also, I typically look for 3 different signs that someone is being deceptive, because sometimes it's just a one-off high blink rate, moving your hair off your face, something like that. That doesn't necessarily mean someone's being deceptive. So I look for a cluster of clues, and in this case, it's the shifty eyes, the high blink rate, and her seeming to have this lack of confidence about her Valentine's Day with Ken.
And so the plan was to have like a romantic dinner, and then like have Aurora here at the house with us, just have like family time. So I had like a little kit, it's like a massage kit, and so the plan was he was gonna give me a nice back massage, like with the little stones and stuff.
Now, normally we will remember things or data collect up here or down here. Usually when it's a more emotional event, it will be lowered gaze, and you see a bit of that here. She was talking about Valentine's Day and what she received, so this isn't a list of items she's necessarily having to remember that's not really attached to an emotion, and you're seeing her do that here. That's significant because it also tells us when she's just shifting her eyes and potentially being deceptive versus when she's memorizing something, recalling something, listing things off, thinking of what to say next. So you see how that differs closer to her baseline versus what's not here. A lot of people also in the comments, I want to note, discuss how odd it is for her to say that she would have Aurora there with her and Ken, and people wonder as opposed to what. That was pretty odd to me as well. And body language wise, there are no indications of deception there. So her telling the truth about this particular event, Aurora being her baby, not being with her, and then being there with her, people want to know more about that. And there's a lot of honesty around that. Even an illustrator with her bringing her hands in, Aurora being here, and her looking at directly at the camera. So no indications of deception, which just makes it a little more strange that Aurora would not be typically with her. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that anything else is going on. It's possible she misspoke. And I also real quick want to talk about how she says home here, this home, and all of that seems to be one thing. She doesn't note this as Ken's house or her parents' house, which are supposed to be 2 different things, especially according to her parole terms, as she's still on parole. And there's a lot of speculation around that. And these all point to her potentially living with Ken. That tells me that that's more likely than what I thought prior to this.
A nice hot bubble bath, and a steak dinner. So, and we watched a movie. We watched Don't Breathe 2. Came out a couple years ago. So it's a bit of an older movie. So anyway, we got through the movie, and dinner was ready at about...
She speeds up a bit when she talks about, and so we got through the movie, and she's talking about this movie very quickly. Typically, we will do this when we know we should not be talking about it, and her tone even lowers. Fading facts, you hear that a bit here, and she's just talking about a movie, a steak dinner, and a bubble bath. I don't believe that's really what took place on Valentine's Day, and that's why you're seeing all of these signs of deception. Her blink rate increases, her eyes are shifty, she clears her throat at one point, and people have been also noting in the comments how she started to clear her throat. Some people think that this is a sinus issue, but it's done at a specific time. She does not reach for water, she does not note why she is clearing her throat, just the seemingly forced clearing of the throat. If this wasn't an interrogation, that would tell me that someone is emotionally blocking. It's an emotional barrier, much like someone crying very loudly. Someone who is a suspect may do this to avoid answering questions, to make it to where whoever is asking questions cannot ask them questions or get an answer from them. However, she's not in an interrogation room. She's not being directly questioned. This just indicates this dislike and discomfort around this specific thing she's talking about. And again, her not necessarily wanting to say what she's saying because part of her brain knows that this is not honesty.
7. And as soon as dinner was ready, Aurora woke up and she was crying, so fed her, changed her, burped her, went to put her back down. So
there's a lot of eyebrow flashes around what she's saying here. As she's saying she fed her, burped her, changed her, she's listing off these basic things that she would do for her daughter Aurora, has allegedly done for Aurora, but her gaze lowers. It seems that she's protecting this vulnerable part of her, and you're also going to see this throughout this video, where she'll go from very confidently discussing something to lowering her gaze and protecting that vulnerable part of her, feeling this lack of confidence in what she's saying, and then a lot of what she's stating turns into a question and not a statement. And there's this bit of a lilt at the end of some of these sentences here that it becomes a bit of a question, which indicates a lack of confidence in what she's saying and can indicate that she is being deceptive.
go back to bed. And she wouldn't stop crying. She would stop crying only when I picked her up, and when I tried to put her back down, she started crying again. So she was very fussy last night, and so she woke up at 7, and even after feeding, changing, and everything like that, she still was fussy. And so he's like, well, maybe she has to burp. And so he's trying to burp.
There are also a lot of different awkward mouth movements around this, which tell me something's going on there. That, along with her shifty eyes again and that increased blink rate, tells me that at the very least she is stressed about discussing what took place with her baby not sleeping, which it really could be that she has this baby and this baby's not sleeping. And there's also a reason I say she has this baby and this, because it is still a controversy as to whether she even has a baby, given how she speaks about Aurora. And this lack of a bond between the two, that's very apparent if there is a baby in the first place. I know, again, a lot of you in the comments section will tell me that there is or is not a baby. I'm not going to say which I believe or not believe. That's not the point. Just that what I see here is that there's something going on, and the high blink rate typically can indicate stress because of deception or just stress, and a complete lack of blink rate can also indicate deception, as someone might be focused on the reaction of who's in front of them. And I've seen both things with Gypsy, so sometimes it can be difficult to tell. More often than not, her blink rate will go away when she's being deceptive and speaking about something that she knows there's a controversy around, as opposed to when she's just speaking about something that she's not telling the truth about because that's just part of her being a pathological liar, as she has herself noted. For example, earlier when she was talking about it being Sunday the next day, she had a high blink rate and a lot of stress around that, versus now she's talking about Aurora, stress around this, a lack of a blink rate, but she's talking about something that has been a controversy. And a lot of what she's saying is pretty evidently dishonest, because it's not the nature of how a 1-month-old or 2-month-old would behave. That, along with her behaviors, tells her audience that she's not necessarily telling the truth here. And you see that lack of blink rate because this is part of a controversy.
Her, and I'm like, I'm trying to burp her, and we're both holding her, you know, I'm like, baby's crying. Sometimes you don't really know why, but we've tried everything at this point. We tried burping, we feeding her more, and so I was like, maybe it's just like gas. And so I tried doing like those like the leg movements with her, and I was like rubbing her tummy in that way that I've seen on TikTok videos and stuff, and she would not stop.
There's a lilt again at the end of most of these statements, making it more of a question, and that high blink rate's back. She's shifting her eyes, and she's very restless. All of this saying that she has stress. Most likely she's being deceptive about this particular part. And it's also further interesting how she uses distancing language here, where she adds ands like, such as when she tells Ken, and I'm trying to burp her, adding in these extra words in between. I'm burping her. It doesn't make sense position wise. If you think about it, if Ken's holding her and burping her, it would be difficult for her to also at the same time be doing so as well. And she doesn't note that there was a handoff or any kind of situation there where position wise it would make more sense. Now, that does not necessarily mean itself that she is being dishonest, but there are distancing words there that make people further question whether there is even a baby and what's actually taking place if there is a baby. Adding to why I really analyze her behaviors and I'm so skeptical of everything she says and does sometimes, because she says these things that don't make sense in regards to a baby that doesn't seem to behave like a baby and a mother who doesn't behave like a mother. There's at the very least a lot of stress around this situation, and given that it is about a baby, taking care of babies can be stressful, but this list of very generic things she says, and then not calling for help, and then not mentioning a pediatrician or why they're still having to discuss Aurora crying a month into this, all of this is very bizarre.
So it was like I was Googling everything. I'm like, and it said it could be anything from colic, gas, growth spurt. She has gained weight, so she weighs 9 pounds 4 ounces right now, as of like last night that I weighed her. So needless to say, finally, after all the crying, she finally went to bed.
She has asymmetrical eyebrow movements here when she's discussing her baby's weight. It seems, again, there's this lack of certainty about the situation, as if she doesn't know, she is not confident about telling us she weighed this baby and the baby weighed, and she's going to say 9 pounds 4 ounces, which happens to be the exact weight a 1-month-old would be if you Google it. And also the fact that she's allegedly weighing this baby seemingly at night does not make sense in itself. But body language wise, all of that is expressed there. All of this deception is expressed there. With the restlessness, I'm a bit surprised she did not clear her throat. I expected that in this instance because she had prior when she was being deceptive, but there is lip licking, lip compressions, asymmetrical eye movement, ton of restlessness, her shifty eyes, not just facing her audience and telling people what took place.
Then, like, I swaddled her and everything, put her back in her crib, and she seemed to be calm. So at about 11:30 at night, she finally went to bed. So this morning, I'm very, very tired. That's why I look like this right now. And everybody's like, get a babysitter, and I'm like, I'm not there yet to have a sitter come yet. I'm one of those people that's very, like, cautious. I'm like, I don't know you. So, like,
when she says, that's why I look like this, her tone lowers, and again, shifty eyes. She's not remembering things. She's not looking down or up, just shifty eyes, not facing her audience. And then her blink rate goes away at one point, and she's looking directly at the camera saying, finally, she went to sleep. This is why I look the way I do, indicating that supposedly she looks bad. But her blink rate goes away. And again, this is part of something that's controversial, her having a babysitter and leaving the baby as she has in the past at least month or so. She has left this baby to go to a Post Malone concert and to go multiple other places. So part of a bigger controversy, and that blink rate goes away. She's staring at the camera. Her chin is up, and then it goes down, feeling more vulnerable when she's talking about specific parts of this. That tells me that she's not confident about it for a reason. Her tone then lowering, and then the lilts in some of her statements just confirm that.
Like, any time that I have had someone watch her, it's been Christy or Mia, because I trust them. So, no, I just, like, maybe when she's like a year old, I might feel more comfortable getting a sitter, but I mean, in this day and age, you never know with people. Like, I'd be one of those people that would be worrying the entire time. I wouldn't be around her. I'd be like, is the sitter, like, picking her up like she likes? Is the sitter, like, treating her with the love that I would give her? So I'd just be in my...
There seems to be some aggression, at least disdain around Christy and Mia taking care of her baby as her nose scrunches and her palpebral fissures are closed. That's around your eyes, and there's this negative tonality, vertical lines in her face. A lot of negativity towards this, and this could be because that is also a controversial topic. It could be because she's having some conflict with Mia and Christy. It could be because she has stated online that Christy and Mia are taking care of her, and then the nights that they are allegedly taking care of this baby, Mia and Christy would jump on social media and be consuming alcohol. So it could be any number of things, but there's definitely some aggression and negativity towards Mia and Christy and them taking care of this baby. And then even verbally, again, there are indications that she is being deceptive as her tone is lowered. In some points, there's this lilt at other points, some distancing language, some referential shifts. She'll go from I to you to that baby, that kid, the child. A lot of distancing language there and referential shifts as well, and past and present tense shifting. I wouldn't know if the sitter would give the baby the love I would, not the love I do. There's no present tense ownership over giving love to this baby, and there's this entire possibility of postpartum issues here. That's very possible. All of this tells me that, again, there's aggression towards Mia and Christy and potential deception going on here as she's discussing getting a sitter, not wanting to leave her baby, and as we know based on her social media posts, she is indeed being deceptive here.
And then Ken works a lot. So, unless it's hard about living it, living in cutoff. I mean, I like living with my family, don't get me wrong, but it kind of sucks whenever, like, you can't live with your partner and you guys share a kid together. So, it's like I can spend a couple days here at Ken's, but then I have to go back home, and then also it changes, like, her environment. So, like, the first day, wherever I'm going to be staying at, Like if I'm
There was some eye blocking, keeping something out or remembering something. Eye blocking when she says can works, and that has also been a controversy. Then restlessness, clearing of the throat, emotional barriering, closed palpebral fissures, negative tonality around all of this, telling me that something is going on here. And she's verbally expressing that she dislikes that Ken is working and she has to switch from one place to another place, which has also been a controversy as to whether Ken works, where Ken works, and whether Gypsy actually lives at her family's house. So a lot going on there, both body language wise and verbally. There's a lot of referential shifts. I, her, you, and she shifts perspectives here and doesn't take full ownership over certain parts of this.
Saying my first night back in cutoff, she's very fussy because it's like a new environment. It's a new old environment, I call it. So it's like changing her from one crib to the crib that I had at home, and then come back here, and then I have a crib here for her. So it's a lot to adjust to. Where is cutoff? Cutoff is like if you live in Louisiana, everybody knows where home is. So it's south.
She continues her referential shifting here, her distancing language, and her shift between past and present tense. There's an increase in blink rate and distancing language in two different places that this baby is being shifted between, and that there's some discomfort there.
So have you guys seen the trailer for season 2 of Gypsy Rose Life After Lockup? It looks very good. Like, even Ken and I and like my family watched the show. It's like, we know what all we filmed, but still like watching the show and how it gets put together and everything, we could be like, oh, I remember when we did that. It's kind of fun to watch. And then you get to watch the stuff that like you weren't a part of, like being filmed.
For throat clearing and some scratching, some indications of potential stress with the high blink rate around certain things. Now, I believe that has more to do with what's being asked in the comments about her book and her living situation and all of that. But it could, at the same time, be about filming Life After Lockup, which she has had to do some of around Christy and Mia, and that there's conflict there that could be an issue. That could be a potential reason she's feeling stressed about this, but more than likely, as she's squinting at the comments and reading the comments, it has more to do with what's being asked in the comment section than it has to do with her being stressed in particular about what she's talking about.
And I also like want to address something. So in the trailer, I've seen kind of videos about it, but like in the trailer, whenever Ken and I clink our glasses, I was drinking Welch's grape juice, like the kind that's in the bottle, because I was also 7 months pregnant. So
this has been another controversy here, which is why there's significance to it. An eyebrow flash around bottle that has been significant in her past, in her book, in her documentaries, in her interviews. She has stated that she has had a traumatic past where she has used a bottle up until adulthood. And there's an eyebrow flash here around bottle, bringing importance to that, interestingly, whereas we would expect to see more grief muscles or some sort of trauma or feeling jaded around this particular issue. Instead, we see a positive tonality around that and significance around bottle. By her chin goes down again, protecting that vulnerable part of herself when she's saying that she allegedly was not drinking. Her blink rate decreases a bit there, and her tone decreases a bit there. And then she has these illustrators about clinking glasses. Now, illustrators are showing physically where things should be position-wise in relation to what you're saying. That with her chin down and her protecting that vulnerable part of herself indicates that something else is going on there. Most likely, she did indeed drink during that particular scene, and it wasn't just grape juice. The lower tone and the significance to bottle can also indicate that as the significance to bottle could be a bottle of wine and not a bottle of grape juice, given she did not indicate any significance around it being grape juice, where we might expect to see that eyebrow flash.
I'm not going to drink when I'm pregnant, and I'm also on parole and can't drink, so I'm not going to be doing that. So to clarify, it was Welch's grape juice, and you guys are going to find that out because they're gonna put that in there. So just want to clarify. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, Matt, I see you. Hey girl, the chat's going by so fast.
Further aggression and throat clearing, again, emotional barriering around her not drinking allegedly while she was 7 months pregnant, but she uses that future tense reference saying, I won't when I'm 7 months pregnant instead of I didn't. And her chin's down, throat clearing, high blink rate, and lowering her tone all indicate that she's being deceptive about this particular part.
My morning routine usually starts with Aurora crying. So basically get up, feed her, do all that stuff. And then if I can get her back down to go to bed, I will go take a shower, clean my face.
This is the part where we see her considering data collecting, thinking, what am I going to say next? Okay, what do I typically do in the morning? What am I going to list off? Different from her eyes shifting that direction, which is in conflict with this particular part. That shows me that when her eyes go that way, it is not her thinking about and coming up with what she's going to say, what she's going to list off is most likely one of the indications of deception. Something at the very least is going on there. Then more indications of stress and her chin going down, protecting that vulnerable part of her, and an increased blink rate when she starts to talk about Aurora crying. Now, a baby crying can be stressful. It's very possible that that is just what is going on, but she starts to rub the underside of her eye, an indication of stress. Normally, our tissues around here will swell, our face will get flushed. A lot will happen when we're feeling stressed, especially when we're being deceptive.
Drink coffee. I need my coffee. Ken said, do you want more kids? Yeah, eventually, but right now, I have my hands full with the one that I have. This week, I will be going to get my IUD put in, because after you have one kid, I guess they give you options of birth control. And I was gonna get...
She continues with those indications of stress there. Now her chin was up and there was a lot of positive tonality around her drinking coffee. But now you see her here and she's doing this face touch here, an indication of stress, of potential deception, along with the restlessness, along with the high blink rate and the shifting eyes. All of this indicating something else again is going on here. And there seems to be some negative tonality around her baby Aurora that she does not, again, verbally say is her baby, her child. But there seems to be negative tonality around that, vertical lines in her face, hints of aggression and stress, her rocking back and forth, and self-grooming behaviors. All of this combined tells me something else was going on here, that potentially she's not being completely honest about the situation.
The next one on, arm implant, but then like I looked more into it and I'm like, nah, I don't know if I want that. Just 'cause, like, I wonder if you like feel it, and I'm squeamish, so I'm like, I don't want anything that I can like feel. So I'm gonna get the hormonal IUD.
Any forms of birth control that she has listed, or anything that prevents pregnancy that she has just listed off, can cause stress, and you see that with the lip rubbing and, again, the restlessness, the high blink rate, her not looking at the camera, all of this combination of things that says there is stress around this. And again, that does not always indicate deception. I will say it's interesting that she lists this alleged doctor. She hints that there's this doctor she has at least discussed this with, that she plans on going to for this, as opposed to when it comes to her baby Aurora, and no hints or indication of her going to a doctor for or with Aurora. And that goes back to what she was talking about earlier with the weighing her baby, which would typically take place at a doctor's office and not in the evening. So there's conflict and things going on here, but as far as stress goes, it could indicate deception. It could just be stress. It could just be anxiety about what she's reading or what she's talking about in particular. So that doesn't always mean deception when she's touching her face, when she's rocking back and forth, but at the same time, it really could indicate she's being deceptive. She might not at all have any plans on preventative measures for pregnancy. And there's even an eyebrow flash around eventually, some positive tonality around that and significance around that. So it seems at the very least she does want to be pregnant again in the future, and she doesn't seem as confident in preventing the pregnancy. I will end this here. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I appreciate everyone who has been so supportive in watching and liking and subscribing. Really appreciate that. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Thank you for watching.
Okay, one of the first things that I noticed that she said was about Ken and their relationship and Valentine's Day. You know, things seemed off. I told you that Valentine's Day, it was just giving all sorts of red flags to me when she was talking about that. The way she was speaking about it, it was too many red flags to me. And I didn't know in detail like she does, but I thought that was very interesting, the things that she said about that. Also, her rocking back and forth. I feel like that was a very clear indication that something was wrong. She was definitely stressed out about something, and it was self-soothing. So I thought that was also very interesting. Another thing that I thought was very interesting is when she spoke about Christy and Mia, and there possibly being some type of drama around their relationships. Now, I've predicted this all this time and said, like, I have a very strong feeling like everything is not what she tries to make it seem with Christy and Mia, because she seemed agitated immediately as she started speaking about it. Also, when she was talking about the Welch's grape juice, and she was like, yeah, you guys will see it. They're going to show it. Like, you know, I don't think she even realized she kind of gives herself away, because she was very hostile. And she was talking about, oh, you know, I've seen what people have said, but I thought you said you're so busy. There's too many things that she's said and done, and I think the way she analyzed Gypsy's body language and everything that's going on, I think she did a phenomenal job. And like I said, if you are not following her, you need to go follow her. I am going to tag her down below. I'm also going to add her page, like right here, if I remember when I'm editing it, because I'm special. But y'all, let me know what you think of this, because I think she is definitely someone worth watching. And normally I wouldn't add someone's entire video, but I feel like adding it, y'all will go over and subscribe to her because of how good this analyst was. So let me know what y'all think.